The Vashtari High Command burst into laughter as the holoscreen displayed the approaching human vessel. Their crystalline bodies glittered with amusement, refracting the light throughout the command chamber aboard the Infinite Dominion. They call that a warship. Fleet Commander Ixaris wiped a crystalline tear from her faceted eye. It looks like a primitive cargo hauler with guns welded to the hull. The human spacecraft, designated HSS Dauntless, indeed appeared crude compared to the sleek biomechanical perfection of Vashtari warcraft. Its boxy frame, exposed heat sinks, and obvious weld lines made it look cobbled together rather than engineered. "The humans request a diplomatic meeting," announced Communications Officer Vexul. "They claim to represent the Terran Confederacy and wish to discuss border arrangements in the Cygnus Reach." Ixaris straightened her posture, the light catching her form in shifting patterns of azure and violet. "Very well. I will meet with their emissary. Tell them we accept, but make it clear their vessel must remain at the perimeter. I don't want that eyesore anywhere near our fleet formation. The Dauntless maintained position 500,000 kilometers from the Vashtari battle group, 12 ships of glistening biomechanical perfection. Each Vashtari vessel seemed alive, their hulls rippling occasionally like muscle beneath skin, weapon ports opening and closing like breathing orifices." Captain Meredith Kovach watched the alien armada through the Dauntless's viewport. 30 years in the Terran Space Force had hardened her, but first contact missions still made her nervous. She adjusted her uniform and checked her reflection in the polished bulkhead. Short-cropped silver hair, weathered brown skin, and eyes that had seen too many stars to be impressed anymore. "How's our positioning, Lieutenant Riker?" she asked. "Optimal, Captain," replied her navigation officer, fingers dancing across projected holographic controls. "Thrusters are configured for rapid evasion patterns if needed. Stealth systems functioning at 97% efficiency." "And our special capabilities?" Tactical Officer Orla Ndambe smiled thinly. "Fully operational and undetected, Captain. The Vashtari scanners are completely blind to our actual combat systems." "Good. Let's hope we don't need them." Kovach straightened. Her jacket. "Prepare the shuttle. I'll meet with their commander as requested." The small human shuttle departed the Dauntless, its plain exterior belying its sophisticated construction. As Kovach piloted toward the massive Vashtari flagship, she studied its strange architecture, organic curves and crystalline structures that seemed to flow together in defiance of conventional engineering principles. Aboard the Infinite Dominion, Ixaris watched the approaching human shuttle with a mixture of curiosity and condescension. Primitive propulsion. Inefficient design. Are we certain these creatures have actually mastered faster-than-light travel? She asked no one in particular. "Indeed, Commander," replied Science Officer Zelith. "Though their methods appear crude, they've expanded rapidly through 3 star systems in the past decade." "Like vermin," Ixaris muttered. "Well, let's see what these humans want." When Captain Kovach stepped into the magnificent crystal hall of the Vashtari command ship, she maintained perfect composure despite the breathtaking alien architecture surrounding her. The Vashtari, towering crystalline beings that refracted light with each movement, looked down at her with obvious superiority. "Welcome, human." Ixaris's voice resonated like crystal chimes. "I am Fleet Commander Ixaris of the 7th Vashtari, Expansion Fleet. I trust you were comfortable in your vessel?" Kovach detected the subtle mockery, but smiled diplomatically. "Captain Meredith Kovach of the Terran Confederacy, thank you for agreeing to this meeting." As they exchanged formal pleasantries, neither suspected that within hours, their 2 species would be thrust into a crisis that would shatter preconceptions on both sides and reveal that human warships weren't quite what they appeared to be. The diplomatic meeting proceeded with increasing tension. Captain Kovach maintained professional detachment as Fleet Commander Ixaris outlined the Vashtari claim to the entire Cygnus Reach, including the human colony on Proxima Centauri b. This sector has been designated for Vashtari expansion for 9 cycles, Ixaris stated, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that Kovach's translator identified as expressions of impatience. Your presence is an unfortunate complication. Commander, the Terran Confederacy established settlements in this region 3 years ago, Kovach replied evenly. We have survey records dating back a decade. We're prepared to negotiate fair boundaries, but evacuation of established colonies is not an option. A subtle vibration rippled through Ixaris's form, the Vashtari equivalent of a dismissive laugh. You misunderstand, Captain. This isn't a negotiation. It's a courtesy notification. Before Kovach could respond, a junior Vashtari officer burst into the chamber, light patterns flashing urgently across its crystalline surface. Commander, Drazari vessels approaching at high velocity. Attack formation. Ixaris's form hardened instantly. The Drazari Collective? Here? Impossible. The massive view screen activated, showing a fleet of obsidian black ships emerging from subspace. Unlike the organic elegance of Vashtari vessels, these ships were angular nightmares of sharp edges and predatory silhouettes. 24 warships, reported the tactical officer. Heavy weapon systems charging. Kovach stepped forward. Commander, my vessel can assist. With that outdated cargo hauler, Ixaris's dismissal was instantaneous. Return to your ship, Captain. Leave combat matters to actual warships. A warning klaxon echoed through the chamber as the first Drazari energy barrage struck the Vashtari fleet's outer defenses. Escort the human to her shuttle, Ixaris ordered a subordinate, then prepare for battle. As Kovach was hurried through crystalline corridors, she activated her wrist communicator. Riker, situation report. Captain, we're detecting multiple hostile vessels engaging the Vashtari. The Dauntless is at safe distance but under observation. Prep full combat systems. Authorization Kovach Delta 79. The Vashtari officer escorting her tilted its head. Your vessel has combat systems? Kovach merely smiled. By the time she reached her shuttle, the battle had intensified. Through the viewport, she watched Drazari ships coordinating with terrifying precision, their black hulls absorbing energy blasts while returning devastating fire. 2 Vashtari cruisers were already crippled, their crystal hulls fracturing under sustained assault. Aboard the Infinite Dominion, Ixaris fought to maintain control of the deteriorating situation. They knew exactly when to strike, she hissed, as another blast rocked the flagship. With most of our fleet in defensive positioning for the human meeting. Commander, her tactical officer reported, the Drazari are deploying boarding craft toward our vessel. Impossible. But the view screen confirmed it. Armored pods streaking toward the Infinite Dominion's hull. They're targeting you specifically. Commander, the officer continued, intelligence suggests this is an assassination operation. As if confirming this assessment, a targeted barrage struck the flagship's propulsion system, immobilizing the massive vessel. The Drazari boarding craft attached to the hull like parasites, cutting torches already burning through the crystalline exterior. Commander, communications officer Vexul interrupted, the human vessel is hailing us. Ixaris hesitated only briefly. Put them through. Captain Kovach appeared on screen, now seated in the Dauntless's command chair. Commander Ixaris, I see you're in a difficult position. The Terran Confederacy offers assistance. With what? Ixaris couldn't keep the bitterness from her voice as another explosion shook the ship. Your outdated freighter? Kovach smiled thinly. About that. On the view screen, Captain Kovach gave a subtle nod to someone off camera. Lieutenant Riker, disengage camouflage systems. Full combat configuration. The transformation of the HSS Dauntless began instantly. What the Vashtari had dismissed as an ungainly boxy hull suddenly shifted and reconfigured. Armored plates slid apart, revealing rows of advanced weapon emplacements. The primitive heat. Sinks retracted, replaced by sleek cooling vanes that glowed with contained energy. Hidden thrusters emerged from concealed compartments, and the entire silhouette of the vessel streamlined into a predatory configuration that bore little resemblance to the awkward ship they'd mocked hours earlier. "By the first crystal," whispered Ixaris, watching as the human vessel's true form was revealed. "Terran warships are designed to be underestimated, Commander," Kovacs explained, her tone matter-of-fact. "We've found it provides a significant tactical advantage. On the Dauntless's bridge, Tactical Officer Ndambe reported, stealth systems disengaged, weapons grid at full power, targeting solutions acquired for all Drazari vessels." "Hold fire," ordered Kovacs. "First priority is Commander Ixaris. The Drazari boarding parties have already breached the Infinite Dominion's hull." Lieutenant Riker looked up from his console. "Captain, our scans indicate at least 30 Drazari commandos headed for the command deck. The Vashtari internal defenses are failing." Kovacs' expression hardened. "Prep Strike Team Alpha. I'll lead the boarding party myself." "Captain," Riker began to protest. "This is a diplomatic mission as much as a rescue, Lieutenant. The commander needs to see humans in action." She rose from her chair. "You have the con. Keep the Dauntless on standby to engage the Drazari. Fleet if necessary." Aboard the Infinite Dominion, chaos reigned. The Drazari commandos, bipedal insectoids with chitinous exoskeletons and multiple limbs wielding energy weapons, swarmed through the crystalline corridors, overwhelming the unprepared Vashtari defenders. "Seal the command deck," ordered Ixaris, as reports of the invaders' progress flooded in. "Activate all internal defenses." "Commander," reported her security chief, "the humans are launching something toward us." The view screen showed 5 small, maneuverable craft launching from the transformed Dauntless, streaking toward the Vashtari flagship. "More humans?" Ixaris couldn't hide her confusion. "What do they think they can accomplish?" The answer came. Minutes later, when the command deck's sealed doors buckled under concentrated Drazari fire. Ixaris and her remaining officers prepared for their last stand, crystalline forms hardening into combat configuration. The doors exploded inward, but instead of Drazari commandos, 5 figures in sleek, powered combat armor burst through, energy weapons blazing with precision. The human strike team moved with practiced coordination, neutralizing the first wave of Drazari attackers before they could react. Captain Kovacs, her armor distinguished by command insignia, approached Ixaris while her team secured the perimeter. "Commander, we don't have much time. The Drazari came specifically for you, and they have control of multiple sections of your ship. We need to evacuate you to the Dauntless immediately." Ixaris's crystalline form shimmered with conflicting emotions. "You expect me to abandon my vessel?" "I expect you to survive to fight another day," Kovacs replied firmly. "The Dauntless can engage the Drazari fleet, but not while we're trying to extract you. Your tactical importance to the Vashtari clearly exceeds the value of one ship, even a flagship." Another explosion rocked the deck as more Drazari forces converged on their position. "Strike team, defensive formation," Kovacs ordered, her powered armor systems highlighting approaching threats. "Commander, your decision. Now." "Very well," Ixaris conceded, her crystalline form shifting to a more compact configuration. "But I will not be the only survivor. My senior officers come with us." Captain Kovacs nodded inside her combat helmet. "Understood. Strike Team Alpha, prepare for expanded extraction. Lieutenant Voss, secure our exit route, Delta formation." The human strike team moved with practiced efficiency that impressed even the Vashtari warriors. Their powered armor, which Ixaris now recognized was far more advanced than she had initially assumed, enhanced their natural abilities to near Vashtari levels of strength and speed. As they fought their way through corridors swarming with Drazari, commandos, Kovacs maintained constant communication with the Dauntless. "Riker, status report." "The Drazari fleet is fully engaged with the remaining Vashtari vessels, Captain," came the response. They haven't committed significant resources to us yet. I think they still don't recognize what we are. Let's keep it that way until we're ready. Prepare extraction bay and ready all weapons systems. A Drazari commando lunged from a side passage, multi-jointed limbs wielding a vibrating blade aimed at Ixaris. Lieutenant Voss intercepted, her armor's servos whining as she caught the blade with an augmented gauntlet and countered with a plasma discharge that left the attacker in smoking pieces. Their tactics suggest extensive intelligence on Vashtari. Ship layouts, observed Kovac as they pressed forward. This attack was meticulously planned. Impossible, Ixaris insisted, though doubt tinged her harmonic voice. No Drazari has ever boarded a command vessel and survived. Unless someone provided the information, suggested Kovac. Commander, do you have rivals within the Vashtari hierarchy? The question hung in the air as they reached the docking bay, where their extraction shuttle waited. 3 Drazari heavy troopers guarded the area, their carapaces enhanced with additional armor plating. Captain, warned Voss, those are siege units. Standard weapons won't penetrate. Use penetrator rounds, ordered Kovac, her armor's weapon systems reconfiguring with a series of mechanical clicks. Aim for joint sections. The ensuing firefight was brief but intense. The human strike team coordinated with precision that surprised the Vashtari officers, using tactics that suggested extensive experience against armored opponents. When the last Drazari fell, its carapace riddled with specialized ammunition designed to find the weak points in its exoskeleton, Ixaris regarded Kovac with new respect. "You've fought their kind before," she stated rather than asked. "The Terran. Confederacy has encountered many species during our expansion," Kovac replied diplomatically as she hustled the Vashtari dignitaries into the shuttle. "We prepare accordingly." Once aboard, the shuttle's engines roared to life, accelerating rapidly, away from the compromised Vashtari flagship. Through the viewport, Ixaris watched with a mixture of rage and fascination as the Dauntless, now fully transformed into an unmistakable warship, maneuvered to cover their retreat. "The Dauntless will engage the Drazari fleet while we return," Kovac explained, removing her helmet to reveal sweat-dampened silver hair. "One ship against 20 isn't ideal odds, but we've faced worse. One human vessel cannot possibly," Ixaris began, but stopped short as the Dauntless opened fire. The display of firepower was unlike anything the Vashtari commander had witnessed. Multiple weapon systems activated simultaneously, releasing precisely calculated barrages that somehow anticipated the Drazari evasive patterns. The human vessel moved with impossible agility for its size, its defense systems absorbing or deflecting counterattacks while maintaining offensive pressure. "What you're seeing," Kovac explained quietly, "is the product of a species that evolved through constant warfare. Unlike the Vashtari, who developed in relative isolation, humans spent millennia fighting each other before reaching the stars. Every Terran warship incorporates thousands of years of military thinking." On the command channel, Riker's voice reported calmly, 4 Drazari vessels neutralized, 3 more heavily damaged. They're reforming their attack pattern, Captain. I believe they've finally realized what they're dealing with." The shuttle docked with the HSS Dauntless as the battle intensified around them. Captain Kovac led Commander Ixaris and her officers directly to the bridge, where the full capabilities of human military technology were on display. Holographic tactical displays filled the air, tracking each Drazari vessel with multicolored threat assessments and predicted movement patterns. The bridge crew, a diverse collection of humans from various terrestrial ancestries, worked with quiet efficiency, their movements economical and precise. "Welcome aboard, Commander," Lieutenant Riker acknowledged without looking up from his station. "Captain, the Drazari fleet is regrouping. They've abandoned pursuit of the Vashtari survivors and concentrated their forces against us." "They recognize the greater threat," Kovac observed, settling into her command chair. "Tactical assessment?" Lieutenant Ndambe responded immediately, her fingers manipulating complex weapon configurations on her console. 17 Drazari vessels, still operational. Our initial surprise advantage is gone. They're adapting to our targeting algorithms. As expected, Kovacs nodded. Deploy countermeasures package Epsilon. Let's see how they handle electronic warfare. Ixaris watched in fascination as invisible battles unfolded across digital spectrums. The Dauntless emitted precisely modulated energy bursts that seemed to confuse Drazari targeting systems, causing their next barrage to miss widely. Your vessel employs deception at every level, Ixaris noted, her crystalline form shifting in patterns that indicated deep thought, from its external appearance to its combat tactics. Humanity learned early that apparent strength invites challenge, Kovacs replied, eyes tracking the battle displays. Sometimes appearing weak provides strategic advantages. A massive energy surge from the lead Drazari vessel interrupted their conversation. The Dauntless rocked violently despite its advanced shields. Direct hit to port shield array, reported Engineering Officer Prakash, her hands dancing across emergency systems. Rerouting power, shields at 62%, and stabilizing. They're concentrating fire, noted Ndambe. Traditional Drazari alpha strike pattern. Kovacs' expression hardened. They think they've measured our capabilities. Time to prove them wrong. Execute. Maneuver Theta 9. What followed left even the battle-hardened Vashtari officers speechless. The Dauntless suddenly accelerated at speeds that should have torn apart its structural integrity, performing a complex spiral maneuver that positioned it directly behind the Drazari formation's weakest point. Before the enemy vessels could reorient, concentrated fire from the human warship disabled 3 more ships in rapid succession. "Impossible!" whispered one of Ixaris's officers. "No ship that size could withstand such gravitational stresses." "Inertial dampening fields," explained Lieutenant Prakash without looking up from her station. "Advanced materials science. And a crew trained to endure high-G maneuvers." The battle continued with increasing intensity. While the Dauntless maintained tactical advantage, the sheer number of Drazari vessels meant they couldn't avoid all incoming fire. Damage reports began filtering through the command deck. During a momentary lull, Ixaris approached Captain Kovacs. "Your vessel fights admirably, but you are still outnumbered. The remaining Vashtari fleet could turn the tide if I could coordinate them." "Communications are being jammed," Riker reported. "The Drazari are blocking all standard channels." Ixaris's crystalline form shifted in what humans might interpret as a smile. "Perhaps not all channels. Your deception tactics have inspired me, Captain. The Vashtari communicate through crystalline resonance when necessary, a method the Drazari cannot detect or interrupt." Kovacs raised an eyebrow. "You can contact your fleet from here?" "With the right equipment, yes." For the first time, a note of hesitation entered Ixaris's harmonic voice. "But such communication requires physical integration with your systems." "Physical integration?" Captain Kovacs repeated, studying the crystalline commander with new interest. "Explain." Ixaris's form shifted subtly, refracting light in complex patterns. "My crystalline structure can resonate at specific frequencies that other Vashtari can detect across vast distances, but I would need direct connection to your communication array to amplify the signal." Lieutenant Prakash looked up from her engineering station. "Captain, if Commander Ixaris is suggesting what I think she is, it would require exposing our quantum communication core. That's classified technology. And a security risk," added Ndambe from Tactical. Another hit rocked the Dauntless, the lights briefly flickering before backup systems engaged. "Hull breach on Deck C," reported Riker. "Emergency containment holding. Captain, we can't maintain this level of combat indefinitely against these numbers." Kovacs made her decision. "Take us to communication control. Lieutenant Prakash, you're with us." Minutes later, they stood before the sleek black column that housed the Dauntless's quantum communication array, technology far more advanced than anything the Vashtari had previously attributed to humans. "This will allow my resonance to reach across the entire battle zone," Ixaris explained, approaching the column with something akin to reverence. "My officers will recognize the signature and respond immediately. The process won't damage our systems?" Kovac asked. "No, but—" Ixaris hesitated. "It will allow me to glimpse aspects of your technology no non-human has ever seen." Their eyes met, human and alien, in a moment of profound understanding. This wasn't just about surviving the current battle. It was about trust between species who had, just hours earlier, regarded each other with dismissive condescension. "Do it," Kovac said simply. Ixaris placed her crystalline appendages against the quantum column. Her form began to vibrate, emitting a subtle harmonic tone that gradually increased in intensity. The column's surface rippled in response, creating patterns of light that danced across the chamber. Lieutenant Prakash monitored the interaction closely, her expression shifting from concern to fascination. "Captain, the quantum field is adapting to her resonance frequency. I've never seen anything like it." For nearly a minute, Ixaris maintained contact with the human technology, her crystalline body glowing with increasing brilliance. When she finally stepped back, her form pulsed with new patterns of light and understanding. "It is done," she announced. "And I understand so much more now." "Did it work?" Kovac pressed. As if in answer, the tactical display on a nearby console lit up with new signatures. The remaining Vashtari vessels changing course, converging on their position with precise coordination. "My fleet comes," Ixaris confirmed. "But we must give them time to arrive. The Drizari will detect their approach and attempt to finish us quickly." "Then we need a diversion," Kovac decided, already striding back toward the bridge. "Something they won't expect." Back on the command deck, the situation had deteriorated further. Multiple systems flashed warning indicators, and the enemy fleet had formed a hemisphere formation designed to trap the Dauntless against the gravity well of a nearby gas giant. "Captain," Ndambe reported, "they're preparing another coordinated barrage. Our shields can't withstand another alpha strike." "Then we won't be where they expect us," Kovac replied. "Lieutenant Riker, plot a course directly toward the Drizari. Command ship. Full acceleration." "Captain." The navigation officer's hands hesitated over his controls. "You heard me. They expect us to retreat or evade. Instead, we're charging directly at their strongest vessel." As the Dauntless surged forward, in what appeared to be a suicidal attack run, the Drizari formation momentarily faltered in confusion. "Now, Lieutenant Ndambe, deploy the Helix Protocol." "Aye, Captain. Helix Protocol active." From the Dauntless's hull, dozens of small objects erupted, spreading outward in a spiral pattern. Each began emitting energy signatures identical to the warship itself, creating a cloud of apparent duplicate vessels that confounded Drizari targeting systems. Quantum decoys, Ixaris realized. Another deception. Holographic projectors combined with minimal physical mass and strong energy signatures, Kovac explained as the Dauntless continued its charge, now concealed among its artificial doubles. "They won't last long, but they don't need to." The Drizari fleet fired frantically at the swarm of perceived threats, their carefully coordinated attack dissolving into chaos. In the confusion, the Dauntless slipped through their formation, delivering precise strikes to critical systems on 3 more vessels before emerging on the other side. And then the Vashtari arrived. The remaining crystal ships fell upon the Drizari. From behind, their weapons fully charged and targeting solutions refined by Ixaris's tactical updates. Caught between the surprisingly formidable human warship and the vengeful Vashtari fleet, the Drizari commanders made the only logical choice. "They're retreating," announced Riker as the black ships broke formation and accelerated toward the system's edge. Computing probable jump trajectories. Let them go, Kovacs ordered. We've accomplished our objective. She turned to find Ixaris studying her with an intensity that transcended species barriers. You saved my life, the Vashtari, Commander acknowledged, and in doing so revealed that we have gravely misjudged humanity. A common mistake, Kovacs replied with a small smile, one we've learned to use to our advantage, because of your history of warfare. It wasn't a question, because of our history of survival, Kovacs corrected. Humans learned long ago that appearances can be deceiving in both directions. Sometimes what looks primitive contains hidden sophistication. Sometimes what seems alien can become an ally. Ixaris's crystalline form shifted in what Kovacs now recognized as the Vashtari equivalent of solemn acknowledgement. I propose we revisit our earlier diplomatic discussion. Perhaps there is room in the Cygnus Reach for both our peoples. I'd like that, Kovacs agreed, extending her hand in the human gesture of agreement. After a moment's hesitation, Ixaris extended her crystalline appendage to meet it. Where human flesh met alien crystal, understanding passed between them, a recognition that the universe held room for many kinds of strength and many forms of intelligence. Throughout the Vashtari fleet, word spread quickly. The humans who built ugly, boxy warships had just saved their commander and turned the tide against a superior enemy force. Never again would they underestimate these strange, deceptive beings who had mastered the art of appearing weak until the perfect moment to reveal their true strength. And aboard the HSS Dauntless, Captain Meredith Kovacs sent a simple message. Back to Terran Command. First contact successful. Diplomatic relations established. Humanity has made a new ally among the stars. The ship's systems, still bearing the scars of battle, hummed contentedly as they set course for home. An unremarkable-looking vessel that had just changed the balance of power in this sector of space forever. In the vastness of the cosmos, appearances could indeed be deceiving, and sometimes that was humanity's greatest advantage.